Welcome to the Coop Tank. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, coming to you from Sweet Recording in beautiful Mount Laurel, New Jersey. You know, people, if you have a podcast, a video cast, an audio book, hell, even if you need a studio built, Sweet Recording's a place for you. Joe Gangemi, not only is he a great guy, but he knows his stuff and he's honest. So go to their website, Sweet Recording, SUITE recording.com, or email them at hello@sweetrecording.com. Anyway, this is another edition of the Roundtable, and it's been great. We just sit there, we come in, we talk about business. Nothing's planned because I don't like people who do pre-interviews because I think it takes away the spontaneity. I can't even say it. I don't care. And it's raining out, so it screwed me up. But we have a great show, and we have my first guest is she's Kelly Lyons from Coop Technology, also the host of Gourmet Mama on RBN Television, and it's Kelly. How you doing, Kelly?
Hi, guys. How are you? I'm doing great.
Good to be here. Good. Glad you're here. Next, we have a friend I ran into a while back ago. He has two shows on RBN TV, and he co-hosts another, which he'll say that because he always has to say, oh, there's three. He hosts Rainmakers Roundup and Morning Coffee. From BCAT Partners, it's Mark Iorio.
How you doing, Coop? Welcome. I'm glad to be here, man. Really
That's
am.
Great. And finally, a friend of mine I met a while ago, and he's from JMB JMJB Merchant Solutions, and he's the host of the Best networking group, and it's Jeff Harris. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great, Coop. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Okay, we're going to start off, just do like 30 to 45 seconds or a minute, just tell people what you do, what makes you different, and why you enjoy what you do. And we'll start with you, Kelly.
Currently, I am working for Coop Technologies, and that word is a Hawaiian word. It's Kokua. It means help in Hawaiian, and we are an IT company that does, all kinds of things. We have clients as little as Edna, who is 83 years old, and we help her with her Alexa when she calls us. And we also manage things like the state of Colorado's avalanche detection system. So we run the gamut of help systems. We sell computers, we fix computers, we sell systems, we set up your internet, we do all kinds of things. So if it's computer related, Kokua does that. And I have been very lucky to be part of the sales and operations of Kokua, and I love it. I love helping people. I love when somebody calls and says, I don't know how to do this, or I hate computers and I need your help. We actually had somebody call today about just setting a password. It's like, a million things that people just don't want to deal with, and we can help. And in my other life, I have a cooking show. We can get more on that later, called Gourmet Mama.
All right. And now Mark Iorio, the man,
Thanks,
the myth. What's up? What tell us about you?
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. So yeah, BCAT is an organization that helps teams work together in a more collaborative fashion. My partner and I, Al Cini, developed a survey instrument years ago that gets people to rally around a specific North Star for their organization, and everyone ends up working and rowing in the same direction and working together in a more collaborative fashion. As a result of that, we had a spin-off of the company called ProFit for Teams, which is a one-day workshop where it's all sort of consolidated together so that it's not a really long program, but it really helps people to understand what it's like to work together, really work together for a specific purpose. And we do that for, organizations small and large, and it's really unique. No one's ever really doing anything quite like that. They do a lot of psychological profiling for individuals, but this is really a psychological profile that's scientifically based and neurologically based for your team to rally around that North Star. So really cool process. We've done hundreds of them. We do a bunch of workshops, and I love what I do every day. And yes, I do have a couple of shows on RVN as well, buddy. And I will invite your ass on there.
Yeah, I know. I've never been. I've been in the morning coffee. Anyway, I guess I'm not a rainmaker. I can't do the rain. I'm gonna sit there and do I don't know. It's all right. Don't worry. I'm not offended. It's all right. It's okay. Anyway, enough with you, Mark. We're gonna go to my friend Jeff Harris. Jeff, and if Jeff had a show, he would have me on. But Jeff, tell me more about you.
I want to first open up by saying I've been on two of Mark's shows, and and they are a blast to be on. And I'll let you guys connect on that. But my name's Jeff Harris. I own JMJB Merchant Solutions. In short, we do credit card processing. So businesses need to get paid for whatever good or service they're offering out into the world, and we help them accept payments from their customers by credit cards. So when you walk into a store and you buy something and you insert your credit card into a machine, that could be something that I'm doing. When you go online to make a purchase through a website, you type your credit card number and your CVV and all those things. That could be us helping that business accept payments on their website. So any business owner that's looking for help to get paid by their customer, that's where we come into play. And I've been doing this for a long time and have seen a lot of not great things happen in the payments industry. So it's been nice to operate in transparency and to be able to operate in honesty and help people make sense of things that have been made difficult to understand almost by design. So that's what I do and what differentiates me, Steve.
That's great. Okay. I want to start. We're on Zoom now. And I know I met Mark and I met Jeff through Zoom. I met Kelly through Jeff Platt. So we met in person first. But during the pandemic, Zoom was so important. And I think Zoom really changed the networking game. And I say that because before that, before Zoom, you'd go to an event and you'd always run into like the asshole with like the nice suit and the nice hair, and people are like kissing his ring because like groupies. But the person had no substance. Okay. And you know, if you were an intelligent person, you know this person is full of crap. And then Zoom comes along and you have breakout rooms. So if you can't talk more than 2 minutes, you're sunk, you disappear. And that's what I liked about Zoom, because it really bridged that gap, because I don't like bullshit. But what did you really like about Zoom? And we're going to start with Kelly. What did you really like about Zoom, and what didn't you like about it?
I have to say that Zoom for me was a little weird. I'm an in-person person. I really like, to meet people face to face. And just for the record, both Mark and Steve have been on my show. But Jeff, I guess it's time for you to come cook something. However, Zoom for me, what I did like about Zoom is the structure of Zoom. So you're like walking in, you're meeting as a group, and in particular, Coop, this was your networking event was the very first Zoom networking event I ever went to in my entire life. So I loved the format where we kind of like everybody introduced themselves and then we broke out into rooms, and then you kind of had a mandate to connect, otherwise you could get stuck in the corner at a physical networking event for a couple hours, or you have a tendency to gravitate towards people that you know and you love and you see them and you want to engage in conversation, and you're like, oh, I got to go meet new people. So being in Zoom and that format definitely forces you to network in a different way, at least for me, but I still prefer being in person.
Hey, Jeff, we're going to ask you, because also you were hosting. I don't know if it's still going, Best of the Best. So you actually got, and you know how you have to host it. But what was your takeaway? What did you really like about Zoom, and what didn't you like?
Yeah, there's a lot, and I'll be brief because I have a lot of thoughts on this. What I really liked were two things: how efficient you could be with networking, because you could go back to back and eliminate 15, 20 hour long drives here and there. You could also cut if you were on a call where someone was just pitching you and say, hey, I have to run, and you don't literally have to walk up and leave. You can just end the call right there. So it becomes very efficient. That was the first thing I really liked. The second thing I really liked was how it was able to broaden my network geographically. I've met some really great people who have become good friends and also great referral partners in New York, Chicago, South Florida, Phoenix, people that we can exchange business and opportunities to support one another's clients. Those things would likely not have happened, or would have been very costly and cost a lot of time and money in order to make those happen, had Zoom or this remote way of networking not been in existence. Those are the two things I really liked about it. What I don't like about it is kind of where we are now, where people want to continue to do the Zoom only instead of having it be in addition to getting back face to face and building those relationships belly to belly. And I think that it has made that a little bit more challenging, the getting back into face-to-face networking as well. I think there's a place for both of them, and it's not an either or, it's a both. Hope that answers your question.
It does. How about you, Mr. Iorio?
I agree with Jeff. I think that, it really helped broaden the amount of people or number of people, Coop, that you get a chance to meet over the years. The other thing too and this may be surprising to a lot of people, is that even for someone like me who's been around for 40 plus years in business, it helped me hone my skill set when it came to the pitch of what I do. And by doing it constantly and being on Zoom calls, 4 or 5 times a day, you become a lot better at making that quick 30, 45 second 1 minute pitch. So that I really liked. The thing that I didn't like about it, Coop, honestly, was that some of these networking groups didn't have a format, and it was kind of like somewhat of a free for all. You'd mentioned breakout rooms, which I do like, but it got to a point where they were not as professional as you are with your coffee with Coop in the morning, and you just, after a while, what you do is just sort of hone back on the things that the networking groups that are not effective for you. It's kind of the nature of the beast. I said that I think the cream rose to the top.
Now, okay, I got a question. We're following what you say, and we've all been in breakout rooms, and you just have that person who tries to take over the room. Okay, and I'm someone who I believe that everyone should have their own voice. Everyone should, have a chance to talk. But I've been in rooms where I've sat there and I'm like, screw this, I'm leaving because this person's just bloviating about themselves, how great they are. Why do you think people do that, Jeff? Why do you think people sit there and go into a room when we're all there for the same reason? At least I think networking, grow a relationship, maybe meet people you like, get some wisdom. People know you can always learn. But why do you think some people would go into a breakout room, Jeff, and just take it over and just like not shut up?
I think it's a couple things. First off, and most importantly, it's a lack of awareness. They don't oftentimes recognize what they're doing and how they're being intrusive and how they're, essentially stepping in the way of any business being done. Because I've never been in a room where someone has done that, and myself or anyone else said, man, I'd really like to do business with that person. Not one time. So I think it's first a lack of awareness. Secondly, I think it could be a transactional type of business professional, so as opposed to someone who's looking to build relationships. And there's nothing wrong with transactional sales and transactional business. However, if you're looking to network through relationships, being transactional is probably not the best approach. And we've all felt that and seen that. And that's what I had mentioned earlier about getting on a Zoom with someone who's just like pitching you and pitching you and pitching you, trying to sell you something. And we've all been in those rooms. So I would say it's lack of awareness and the wrong type of mentality. It's a transactional sales approach and not a relationship building approach.
Mm. How about you, Kelly? Because you like live, but if you're in an event where, as you said, someone just takes over, you can say, screw it, I'm out of here. And Jeff, you said you can go, okay, you can just get off. But a lot of times, you feel bad. You're in a room for 2 minutes and you're like, screw this. But why do you think that people, is it, as I just said, lack of awareness? Is it insecurity that they want to prove themselves? Or what do you think it is, Kelly?
I do think there's an element of insecurity there, or just this ego of like, I'm coming in with what I want to say. And, I was a teacher. I taught in a classroom for many years. And when I was in graduate school, the instructor said, just because it's coming out of your mouth doesn't mean they're hearing you. Mm. And so that's something that I think people miss. And I think they kind of go in with, I'm going to get all these sound bites out of my head and into these people. And then I'm going to feel really accomplished because I said what I want to say. But if you're not an effective communicator and you're dominating the room, then it's super ineffective. I tune out immediately. When I see somebody getting on a roll like that, I'm in Fiji on a beach somewhere.
Or checking email,
now,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, Mark, I want to ask you, and the reason I'm interested in your answer is because you do host your shows and you interview, and we know what it's like to interview someone. And you sometimes I let my guests talk because my thing is people aren't there to listen to Cooper talk or watch my show. They're there to find out about my guest. But
Mhm.
for you, what do you do? Because you're someone who has interviewed, and you've interviewed people that you get guests, and sometimes they don't shut up, and that's fine. And that's entertainment. I mean, of course, unless they're just talking about bullshit. But for you, what is it like when you're in a room and someone just keeps talking and you can't say, hey, we got to go to commercial, so you got to stop that? I mean, how do you handle it?
Yeah, I mean, I've had it happen a lot. I mean, it's I think people are nervous. They're uptight about who they are. They're insecure, as you guys are talking about. And I've had people apologize to me later on and say, that person talked right over top of you. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that. I mean, they do whatever they want. But, I had it happen to me the other night. I went to a Lower Bucks Chamber of Commerce meeting at the Newtown Athletic Club. And I talked to a bunch of people, and my sister was there. It was the first time the two of us were in a networking group together. She's in the search business. And this one fella, I could see him coming out like out of the corner of my eye. I see him like stalking me because I was talking to a bunch of people, and I guess he wanted to get to know me. And he couldn't wait to talk. And he was a CPA. And I'm like, Mike, slow down, slow down. Let me help you out here. Relax. What do you do? What makes you different? And you can do that when you're in person, when you're one-on-one. But when you're in a group, I don't think I've ever sort of like jumped off the call or left the meeting room or whatever. I have a difficult time being that calloused and that rude about it, but you want to do it. I mean, I think these people are nervous. I don't think it's as much ego driven as it is they can't read the room. And you've been around people that can't read the room.
Now, what do you think it is? Well, actually, what do you think it is that makes the people intimidated? And have you ever been intimidated in a room, Mark? Have you ever sat there going and felt intimidated? And how did you overcome that?
Well, I mean, I think we all have those little idiosyncrasies where it may surprise you guys that I really don't like being in a big, gigantic crowd of people and talking to a million people. I don't like going around shaking everyone's hand. I'd rather be in a small group of people, like friends, like you and I were at that one event, Coop. You and I sat at a table and we hung out together. I'd prefer that. I'd prefer getting to know people more intimately rather than going around playing mayor, shaking hands and kissing babies. That's my style.
How about you, Jeff? How about what's your thing? I mean, do you ever get intimidated? And now I'm not going to speed think, but you've had a makeover, so you're a different person from when you started. Have you noticed a reaction? Because you used to be heavier, and you weren't really that happy at the time, but you've converted. You work out, you look great. Have you noticed a change of how people react to you when you walk in a room now? Because you are a completely different guy from the guy I met with a big baggy suit because he didn't have any new clothes and he lost all the weight.
I don't know what you're talking about, Coop. So for folks that have seen me before, before I went through this improvement, right? This physical and mental improvement. For folks that have seen me before and see me now, and haven't seen me, there will be something that comes up. Oh, you look great. What did you do? And that's always like, it's always good to hear, right? And it's always good to be complimented, and it's always good to compliment, right? I think that's a big thing that we should all keep in mind, and to say nice things and to be kind to other people when we're interacting with them. So that always feels great. I don't know that there's necessarily a different level of confidence when walking in a room, or if there's a different level of feeling some way. I'm like Mark. I would rather sit down with one person, have a beer, get to know them on like a personal level, and then take things from there. However, in order to get to that have a beer personal level, I have to shake a lot of hands and have a lot of uncomfortable, quite frankly, conversations, and have to listen to a lot of things that I would perhaps choose not to have listened to in the first place. But I have to go through all those things in order to be able to have that intimate conversation with someone to really get to know them. So I don't know if there's something that makes me uncomfortable. I'm sure the first time I networked was probably very uncomfortable because I was like, what do I do? That was probably uncomfortable. But now it's just a natural thing. Go and introduce yourself, say hi, and how can I help you? Like, who are you looking to meet? And just be very direct about it. And then you find out rather quickly if that's someone you want to continue to help, or move on and say hi to the next person.
Yeah.
Hey, Kelly, now you also you have a background in entertainment a little bit, so you always have to network in that business, and it's also when you go into an event, you're a woman, and unfortunately, there are a lot of leches out there. There are a lot of guys, and even though it's the year 2023, there are guys like, hey man, that chick's hot, and I'm like, dude, no, that's a peer of yours. Don't talk like that. But they don't get it because they think, and it's always like this fat dude with a shitty suit who like thinks he's somehow going to get this woman's digits. And it's like, dude, you couldn't. I'm not even going to say a joke, which I see you fall into a bucket of titties and come out sucking your thumb. Okay, that's the type of person that acts like that. But for you, Kelly, what is it? Do you ever get intimidated going to a room? And do you see sometimes that guys are just talking to you because you're a woman and they want to get a photo op to put it on LinkedIn?
Yes, sure, of course. Actually, it's kind of interesting because I think me in particular, I've kind of always been comfortable walking into a room full of men. And obviously, not to toot my own horn, but that's never super intimidating to me because I'm sort of setting the pace on that. However, 15 years ago, walking into a room full of business women, that was very hard. As I've grown as a CEO and a leader and gotten a little bit more comfortable in my skin, I am definitely less, and I have some great women in business, colleagues and events that I go to that I just love. But speaking very frankly, as a woman, it was much harder to walk into a room full of 50 women because it's a little bit of a cat fight, and everyone's a little insecure and everybody's trying to be better than the next person. And there's a little bit of like stepping on women, and that's notorious in the business world, that women really had to bring that forefront, like, stop doing this to each other. We have to rise together, not separately. And so I've noticed that that's gotten much better over 15 years. But yes, the leches in the room, I've always felt very comfortable handling that. So that's
Don't they get like everybody else sees? Like, I never understand that. And you guys can just weigh in. Don't they understand that, we all have a self consciousness. We all, I know if someone doesn't like me, I can tell, but everyone likes me because I'm Cooper. No, I don't, but why don't you think they see that? I mean, why would someone go in and they're damaging their reputation? It's like I had a guy make and I talked to Jeff about this. I had a guy make an anti-Semitic comment to me at a networking event. Okay. And it was in front of me and my friend who's a mayor of a small town. And I'm thinking, why would someone do that? Why would someone make a comment like that? Or why would someone be like a total lech? I mean, what is in their psyche where don't they know that is so bad for business? And if I wasn't a performer, and I don't believe in people getting canceled, you get things. I could have just canceled this guy out, but I said it's not my job. He's going to put his own foot in his mouth. But why do you think it is, Jeff? Why do you think people? Do you think it's a lack of self-awareness, or are they trying to show off, or do they think that people like that?
I don't know. You and I spent quite a bit of time at that coffee when we were talking about this. Because I'm Jewish, and I had a similar experience. Somebody made an anti-Semitic comment to me. I don't think they knew I was Jewish. I had to like stop them immediately and be like, by the way, just before we go any further, I'm Jewish, and I want you to be aware of that before this gets really awkward and uncomfortable. And now that person's not really someone I spend any time with. I think that there's a demographic of people that try to build rapport and relationships through putting others down or through operating in that type of capacity. And by gaining that type of camaraderie or perceived camaraderie through putting someone else or someone else's down, they think that it helps build rapport faster. That's the only, I don't agree with it. I think it's ridiculous, but I really can't think of why in a business setting. It's one thing to like speak your beliefs, but it's another thing to, I don't know, to be racist or anti-Semitic or sexist, like outright. in front of people. I don't understand, and I don't have an answer as to why, even though I just spoke to you for a minute. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
Oh, well, how about you, Kelly? And have you ever had someone who was sexist to you at an event where you went, "Oh, what? Like, tell me why do you think they do it?" And tell us what happened to you where someone was just, and if you want to say their name, I don't give a shit. Say their name, but tell us.
I've had plenty of that. My tactic is typically I try and make a joke out of it. So I'll say like, oh no, you can't say that now, like, or you can't say that on TV. I had somebody tell me that it must be really easy for me to pick up business with that rack I have. And I said, well, it doesn't hurt. It's like I have to bring levity to it because what else are you going to do? But I had to stop the conversation. So it was like, let's bring some levity to it. And again, you're in a room full of 50 people. You want to make this into an issue. It's I try to rise above and get people to meet me. My slogan is they go low, I go high.
Yeah, but don't you think if you're bringing levity to it, that gives them the reason that they can keep doing it?
Maybe.
If you don't sit there and say, "Shut the fuck up," seriously, do you think that? I mean, I know it would be uncomfortable, but do you think that would change this person, or do you just think they're just oblivious and they don't care?
No, I don't think you're going to change anybody. I don't think anybody ever changes. I think that is something that, that's a personality driven thing. And I've often actually the rack comment, I said, it doesn't hurt, but see you later. Like I ended the conversation. I was done.
Yeah.
That's the end of that conversation. And yeah, my dad is a very successful business person, and he told me when I was coming out of college, and he said, listen, beautiful women want to be perceived as smart, and smart women want to be perceived as beautiful. You're going to have to figure out a way to handle both of those things.
All right, well that makes sense. See, that's
And
good. Now, Mark, how about you? Because also you are a little bit older than us, and you come from a different grain. The networking has changed. The comments have changed. I mean, even when you go back before you, like when you watch Mad Men, it was like it was just a free for all. Like, hey, let's get a drink. Hey, yeah, let me grab your butt. But for you, I mean, what are your thoughts about that? I mean, and how did you handle it?
Look, I think there's the guys that Kelly's talking about, and we're all mentioning. I think they're the same guys that go to a stop sign or a stoplight and think they're going to pick up a girl that's in a car next to them and go to bed with them. That's the mentality of these people. The people that make those stupid ass comments, whether it's anti-Semitic or some racist bullshit comment, are people that want to try to be fun. They want to try to fit in and try to be funny a lot of times. And it's about reading the room again. Like if you're amongst a very close friend that you grew up with and you have like little jokes between the two of you, fine. That's not a big deal. When you're in a group, a networking event group, where you haven't met anyone and you start to make comments like that, you're an asshole, basically. That's the bottom line. So, I think it's really about the awareness, as Jeff said a few minutes ago, and people just being, trying to be funny, trying to fit in, and then these asshole guys that think, oh my God, there's a gorgeous girl over there. I'm gonna go pick her up, get her number, and we're gonna go to bed together. That's the stupid mentality that they have, and who the fuck knows? I don't know where it comes from. It's that level of idiocy, but you got to be careful, man. I remember, I'll tell you quickly, guys, 1979, I graduated from college, dated a girl through high school and into college, and we're at a Christmas party or something. And my boss always said, never go to these Christmas parties. People get drunk and they make stupid comments. So I bring my girlfriend, who is 2 years younger than I am now, 1979, I'm 22, she's 20, okay? I'm standing next to a fellow who was the vice president of materials management, and he's drinking, and Susan is at the bar in front of him. He doesn't know that I'm her boyfriend and says, I'd like to run my tongue up her leg or whatever bullshit he said. I fucking hated this guy forever. I hated him for that comment. I could have punched his fucking lights out at that point. But you know, that's 1979. And believe it or not, guys, you know, this is going to be hard to believe. I ended up going to church with this guy at the same church in Pennington, New Jersey. And I forgave him for making that comment because I figured he was just, you know, a flat out asshole. And, you know, and he's married and has got like 5 kids. So that's the kind of bullshit, you know, you hear sometimes. And it just still hear it to this day.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, we always talk about different people we run into, and you know, we talk about the people we don't like, but then there's people we do like. And I want to ask you guys, when you reach out and want to start a relationship with someone in the business world or in any capacity, what are some of the characteristics you look for? Like me, I look for they have to be honest. Okay. I don't want people who are full of crap. You know, I don't want people who are faking it to make it. Don't like fudge your books. Don't do this. You have to be honest. 2, you have to have integrity. Okay. That's very important to me. And 3, you have to be sincere because I don't buy bullshit. That's 3 things that are very important to me. And if someone doesn't have them, I'm like, you know what? I just and you know right when you meet them. But for you, Jeff, what are some traits you look for that are like a deal breaker? Like if someone says, "Hey, Jeff, meet Steve Cooper," and you think Steve Cooper's an insincere prick, you're gonna go, "I don't want to be in business with him, or I don't want to hang out with him. I don't mean for coffee." But what are some things that you look for in somebody?
Yeah, I think honesty and integrity are hand in hand, right? And I think that's one of the I think one of the things that is needed in order to be able to move forward. Secondly, I would say, do they show up? How do they show up? Right? Do they show up in kindness? Do they show up in with like positivity and gratitude? Like how like when I'm around them, and this is like a little bit, and Kelly, I know we've talked about this. This is more like when I'm around you, like what does it feel like? What is that energy, right? And how does what am I sensing when I'm around you? Because there will be people that I will come across and it like just feels wrong. And no words have been said, nothing had happened. It just doesn't feel right. And it's kind of like a negative energy around them or a negative energy interaction between us. I don't know which one. But for me, it's having positive um that positive force that draws me towards someone. And I found that it's typically honesty, integrity, kindness that are behind that draw, if you will. um that's how I sense it, what I look for, and what I feel for in whether I'm going to spend time with people.
How about you, Mark?
I don't know, guys. I don't know about this honesty and integrity stuff. I've hired people that I thought were really honest and had great integrity, and they turned out to be the biggest assholes I've ever met in my life and try to screw the business. So it to me, it's a gut reaction, you know, and you got to trust it. You got to trust your gut. That chemistry happens very, very quickly with me anyway. You know, you start to feel it. That level of authenticity, I think you can judge that pretty quickly. You know, if you're sincere and authentic. I don't know about the authentic or the integrity and honesty portion. I don't. That takes time and a lot of diligence. You know, with that person, you just never know, guys.
How
You
about you,
never
Kelly? How about you, Kel?
I like the word authentic. You know, I'm always looking for who I feel like I can sense, like Mark was talking, almost like your gut reaction. I feel connected to this person. They make me happy when I'm around them, even if it's business or not business related, just people that kind of gel with me. Um, Taking it out of the professional sector. But you know what usually happens, you meet these people in professional settings, you wind up creating some sort of one-on-one or personal relationship with them. And ultimately for me, that's almost always turned into some sort of business, which is really great. But aside from that, just I love to co-create with people. So I feel like I'm attracted to people that are similar and want to have similar things in mind, similar energy. And I really enjoy that part. But it's a little bit your vibe, you know, your vibe attracts your tribe kind of stuff.
So, okay, and here's a question, because we're all on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has come to a point where it's, there's always like these motivational speakers who always are telling you what you did wrong. They always go, "Yeah, I want you to learn how I screwed up my business." And it's like, well, then why don't you take your own advice and go back and start your own business and make it work, and then you can come back and talk to me. And a lot of people are always putting their business goals. I want this, and that's fine. But personal goals are very, very important. And sometimes personal goals do include business goals. But I think, I know Jeff is very self aware and about personal goals. And I want to know, what are your personal goals? And if they include business, that's fine. But we all have personal goals. Like me, I want to wake up. I want to be the best person I can be. I want to love my wife. I don't want to die from my bad heart. And I just want to enjoy life. And I've changed a lot since when I was almost 8 days in the hospital. I changed. It's not, to me, it's not about money anymore. If I'm living, fine. If I have a roof over my head, I'm fine. If I'm creating, I'm fine. And that's my goal, to keep creating. Of course, I'd love to make $1 million and, leave my wife and date someone younger, but don't tell her that. But no, I'm joking, Joanne. Well, I know my wife doesn't listen. She doesn't listen to any of my shows. So, Joanne, I said it. Anyway, Mark, what are your personal goals?
Well, Coop, honestly, I think the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People changed my life 25, 30 years ago, maybe more. I don't remember. But in that reading that book and going through that process, my goals are family goals. I have social goals. I have physical goals. I have spiritual goals, mental goals, financial goals. And what I try to do is I try to keep a very balanced approach with all of those things. I love my family. I love, being a successful business person, but I like, I'm faithful. I'm a faith-filled person. Um, but all those things matter to me, and I try to improve every day. The one thing that I learned a while back is that you never confuse your I and your R, and your I is your identity. In God's eyes, you're always a 10, whether you believe in God or not. I mean, your higher power, you're a 10. As a role in the role of father, brother, son, business leader, host of a TV show, I'm never going to be a 10. I'm striving for excellence in those areas, not perfection, but excellence in those areas every day. So that's what I try to do, guys. I try to improve in all those areas every single day of my life.
Okay, how about you, Kelly?
I think that, my highest and best use is, I think, ease and joy, right? I want it to be easy and I want it to be happy. And, I do all kinds of things for that. I go to yoga and I hang out at the gym, and I work in a job that I like, and I love my family and my son and my boyfriend and my animals and my friends. And I think, not necessarily in any particular order, but as long as those goals for me are to have the most ease and happiness, a lot like you, Coop, you just let's just make it easy. Let it be happy. And that's really, that's my goal. Those are my goals.
How about you, Jeff?
My goal is to continue to intentionally design my path forward, and to do so operating out of joy as often as possible. And when I'm showing up, because there are hard things in life and hard conversations, to do so with honesty and kindness. And if I can look back at these interactions that are challenging and continue to show up honestly and transparently and with kindness in mind and not being a dick, that is what is going to help me achieve joy. And that's how I want to show up and how I want my life to continue to design for me and my family. And I will say, it was interesting. I was listening to a couple of folks speak a week or two ago, and they were talking about how, like, the best 1% of your life is your vacation, and that's 1% of your life, and how you should strive to live on vacation. And I heard that and I was like, that is the dumbest shit I've ever fucking heard. Because I don't want to live my life striving for 1% of my time to be spent here and there. I want 100% of my life, or as close to it as possible, to be wherever I am with whomever I'm with, to be that feeling, right? And that's what I'm striving to continue to build and to create for myself and for my family moving forward. So that's my answer.
Well, I'm going to follow up with that with another question that is similar to this, and I'll let you keep going, Jeff. How do you define success?
Wow, it's a great question. I would define success as getting closer towards what I'm looking to achieve. So I don't know that success is like an end goal or like an end, like a finish line, if you will. I think it's a journey continuing to build towards whatever it is that you're looking to build and create. So to live in joy, to own a business, to hit certain revenue thresholds or create certain wealth, to have physical health, to have love, those are all things that are along the journey that I'm on. And as long as I continue down that path, I am considering that to be success.
Okay, and now, how about you, Mark?
I look, Coop, I look at my kids and, to me, that's the definition of success. I mean, I see that my daughter's a jockey. She's a thoroughbred jockey. She's all doing exactly what she loves, 31 years old. My son is a professional drummer, as you know, buddy, and he's down in Nashville and he's doing exactly what he loves. So as a parent, there's no blueprint for being a good parent. When you are successful in training and raising your kids to be good people, and people know that they're good people, to me that's successful. And yeah, all the other things, the material bullshit doesn't matter. I mean, being a good person every day and making sure that the people that are around you are propped up and helped, and you help build a pathway for them. That's one of the reasons I do the shows on the network, is to get the word out for the guests on my programs. It's, as you said earlier and a million times in conversations with us, it's never about us. It's always about the guest. So that to me that's success, man. I love helping other people.
Okay, how about you, Cal?
It's fun to be at the tail end of this because I feel like, what am I going to say now? But I listened to a life coach.
What he said.
Yeah, I want him and a little bit of this. I think that, ultimately, if you're happy and your life looks great to you and you feel good inside and everyone around you is happy and thriving, that's success, right? Maybe thriving is money, maybe thriving is health, maybe thriving is happiness. I have this life coach that I listen to says, you never get it done and you can't get it wrong. It is a process and you're living it every day.
And you know what they say about happy? If you're happy and you know it, you clap your hands. That's what they say.
Right.
I got one final question for y'all. People coming out, someone young, getting in now, not because you all have kids of different ages, and Jeff, you have young kids, and Kelly, you have a younger kid, and as you said, Mark, your kids are following their dreams, and that's wonderful, and I think that's so important. But if you were at a networking event and you met, like a 22-year-old who just graduated college, what advice would you give them? Because once again, people, I think, tend to be not mean to young people at events, but they sort of disregard them. I never had, because I came back from the West Coast, and when I went to an event, people, some people were aloof, and I was like, hey, I know stars, bitches. Be nice to me, okay? You're nothing. You're not worth anything that you think you are. But what advice would you give to someone, a young guy, young girl, 21, 22, 23, going to a networking event, worried, like, what am I going to do? What advice would you give them? And we'll start with you, Kelly, so you can start the trend.
Okay. Well, I would say three things to them. Don't be afraid to be purposeful. Follow through on what you say you're going to do. And don't be afraid to try new things and learn new things. And, if you can hold on to that early in your career, things unfold very nicely. The second you put your back up or you feel insecure about something, things don't work as well.
Okay, how about you, Jeff?
I would tell them a couple things too. I liked the follow through comment. Just do what you say you're going to do, or don't say it. That's a really important thing. The second thing I would say to them is find a mentor. Find someone that's willing and able to help you learn and grow, so that you can accelerate your path. And the third thing I would say is never burn a bridge.
Okay, that it is great advice. How about you, Mr. Iorio?
I think the mentorship is critical. I think back to when I graduated from college. I was kind of green and a little bit edgy, and I had two gentlemen who took me under their wing and taught me the ropes, man. And they were just amazing people. I miss both of them a lot. They were a lot older than me when I first joined the organization, but it's finding someone who can help you learn the ropes. And a lot of times these kids that are coming out of college, they have the skill set, they just don't have the polish. And what Kelly and Jeff just said, Coop, is important. Back up what you say you're going to do. If you're going to do something, follow through, man. That's so critical. But the first thing would be find a great mentor to help teach you the ropes.
And none of you said in a Zoom meeting, make sure you have your pants on. I'm surprised none of you said that. So, because that's very important. You don't think anything will happen. Like, I'm not wearing pants right now, but I'm in a studio. So anyway, but no, I want to thank you all for coming on. This was fun. I want you to give your contact info or whatever you want about your company. We're going to start with you, Jeff. How can people get in touch with you? How can they find out more about your biz?
Yeah, so you can find me on all social platforms, JMJB Payments, Jeff Harris. If you're connected with any of the people on this call, I'm connected with them on those platforms as well. And you can email me at jh@jmjbmerchantsolutions.com. And Coop, thanks so much for having me. This was a blast.
Mark Iorio.
Hey, Coop, thank you. This was great. Jeff and Kelly, it's great to see both of you. And I can't wait to see you, Coop, on one of the shows. The best way to get
I still am waiting for that invite to your pool. You haven't invited me and my wife to your pool yet. I just think you give me false promises and you break my heart. I cry myself in the shower. My wife comes in. I'm in a fetal position crying. And Joanne goes, "What's the matter, Steve?" I go, "Iorio never invited us to the fucking pool."
When it breaks 80 degrees out there and it's not raining, you can come over anytime.
And I got my Speedo. Okay.
Oh God, don't wear a Speedo.
I'm joking. Okay, Mark.
I'll give you my. So, Mark MARK.Iorio IORIO at getbcat.com. That's GETBCAT.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not that active on other platforms. A little bit on Instagram, but that's it. 609-577-4306 is my cell. Call me anytime. And Coop, you are welcome to come to my house anytime, brother.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Kelly, how about you?
You can always find me at itskokua.com. You can certainly send a message to the website, or you can email me directly at klyons@itskokua.com. It's kokua.com.
And how about Gourmet Mama?
Oh yeah, you can watch Gourmet Mama anytime. You can find Gourmet Mama on Facebook, and or you can follow me on LinkedIn, Kelly Lyons on LinkedIn, and you'll be hooked up to anything I'm doing.
All right, well, people, I want to thank you for listening. I'm going to give a big shout out to Joe Gangemi. Joe Gangemi from Sweet Recording. Go to the website, Sweet Recording, SUITE recording.com. He kicks ass. He wouldn't be producing my show if he didn't do a great job, because he's more of a perfectionist than me, and that's good when you're doing a show like this. You can email me at the Coop Tank at yahoo.com. You can go to my other website, coopertalk.net, where you can find my entertainment podcast. I've done over 960 episodes. If you listen to that and you like it, send me an email at coopertalk.net. And if you want to start a podcast, reach out to me. I'll sit you down. I'll flesh out your idea. We'll go over it. We'll bring you in studio, and then I'll come back and critique it. It's a 3-step process. So you can email me at thecooptank@yahoo.com. I'm Steve Cooper. I want to thank my guests, and you all have a great weekend.